Hello again, Storm fans. Welcome back to Inside Storm, proudly presented by RedZ. RedZ is the Australian lender that specialises in providing loans for the self-employed. I'm your host, Sam Hargraves. It's great to welcome back the Wellbeing Manager for the Melbourne Storm, a former player as well, Peter Robinson. Robbo, hello to you. Welcome back to Inside Storm.
G'day, Sam. Good to be here, mate.
It's always wonderful to have you on. Let's jump straight into some footy. The RedZ report for round 10. It was magic round. It was all that and a heap more. A fantastic initiative from the NRL to get every team playing up at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. It was a phenomenal round of footy, and the Storm were no exception. 44-18, the win over St George was just tremendous, given the injuries as well.
I think it was a very physical, particularly start to the game as well. And I think we've got to acknowledge St George have been playing some really good footy at the same time. And I think when teams come up against the Melbourne Storm, and I'll say this with a huge amount of respect and humility, I'm sure they mark us down and they have a little bit of extra effort because you're the premiers, because they want to use us as a bit of a measuring stick to see how they track along in their season as well. But I'm sure at half time, when with a player down early for St George with being sent off, Craig would have said, hey, listen, we've got to keep turning these guys around and taking the energy out of them. And just so happened we scored 6 tries in the second half.
Well, send-offs were the theme of the round, as we know, but there were certainly some that were absolutely valid in being sent off, and we say that with no bias at all. But it was a tough game. There were a few injuries as well. Ryan Pappenhausen going down in the first 5 minutes, but what it showed was the depth of the Melbourne Storm side to be able to cover for him, what Nico Hines was able to do, what the whole team was able to do in shift and restructure, and then not just hold a game, but perform in a game was really impressive.
Yeah, I think too, Sam, you just said side. I'd actually say squad. It tests the depth of our squad and what we have in our team. And I think one of the things that Craig does really well starting from pre-season is making sure these guys know their expectations and know what is acceptable when they do. So when someone comes onto the field, they know what's expected of them. They know what role to play. Nothing's going to be a surprise to them. And you see when Pap's come off, he came back from being injured with his shoulder as well. It was great to see him out then. It was disappointing to lose him because he's had so much to the team. But when a new player comes in, they just know what role they need to play for the team.
So Terrell Fuimano got 5-game suspension for that. Josh Maguire got 5 weeks as well, and there was another suspension to come out of that game as well. But we were all excited to have Paps back. With him returning to the side, Nico Hines was preparing to play in a different role, but quickly had to change back into full back mode, and he played a fantastic game. How versatile is this bloke, really? And how hard would that have been to do? You get yourself prepped to come in and you know your role you're playing, and then within a blink of an eye, it changes. You go back to cover for the most electrifying fullback at the moment in the game, along with Teddy from the Roosters, and you've got to completely shift your whole mindset.
Would it surprise you to say that? It doesn't surprise me. I've seen Nico play fullback, for a little bit of footy, and he's a really talented and skillful footballer. And again, it's no surprise that he goes out and plays the way he does, just because of the preparation that Craig. And the thing I love about Craig as well, he respects every team and every game like it's his last game, like it was the game before. So he puts the amount of preparation into his team, and he also, and all coaches have to, you've got to plan for the unexpected. No one would have thought Ryan Pappenhausen would have got as injured early in the game, and Nico's sitting on the bench, and he can cover a whole heap of positions as well. He can cover any position in the back line and probably fit him into the pack there if we needed to play. But again, just knowing his role and what was needed from him, helped the team.
Now, we don't want to make Inside Storm all about Josh Addo-Carr, but we really can't help it, and he's giving us no alternative. 6 tries last week, another 3 this week, 9 in 2 games. Just how good is this guy going? And for as great as that is for Melbourne Storm, you can only imagine Paul Green at the moment sitting there looking at State of Origin around the corner going, oh dear, what are we about to get?
Well, I hope he can keep doing it for New South Wales as well. But, I'd like to think Josh should be shouting Kenny Bromwich and Justin Olam a coffee here and there, because there was a try there that Kenny could have scored and he passed it off. But Justin's been doing the same. He's been putting him in positions so Josh can score the tries. And the thing you love about that too, when Josh does get those tries, he goes back and acknowledges those players that made that try happen, because that's the outcome of an execution that they've done well.
Yeah, I think Freddie Fittler's just going to be rubbing his hands together saying couldn't be in better form at a better time of the year, and it's fantastic for the Melbourne Storm as well. It's great to see the boys be able to go back up and the whole club to be able to go back up to the Sunshine Coast. They were so hospitable and welcoming to the Storm last year during COVID when the Storm had to hub up there, apologies. They weren't able to really do much with the community at the time, weren't able to do anything. So to see them up again there, community visits during the week, hospital visits as well. Harry Grant was off to a hospital visit, recovering from injury. He's about 2 to 3 weeks away. We caught up with Harry during the week to hear about the week and what they'd been up to, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to come back here to the Sunshine Coast and spend a couple of weeks. And also, I know I wasn't a part of the camp last year, but the boys didn't get the opportunity to get out and give back to the community. So it's a good opportunity for us to do a bit for the community that helped our squad so much last season. And it's an exciting exciting opportunity for us to sort of go in there and put a smile on some kids' faces.
How important are events like this, given you've got pretty high profile as NRL players?
No, it's very important. I think, to be fair, like we get just as much or more out of it than the kids do, and it really sort of justifies why you're doing what you're doing, and how much what you do means for other people. And to be able to do it up here on the sunny coast, it's a great opportunity.
Now the $1 billion question every Queenslander wants to know, mate. How's the hamstring going?
Yeah, no, it's coming along. I've been tracking along pretty good. So hopefully the next sort of few days start ramping up the running levels. And I've never had a hamstring injury, so I'm just taking it day by day and listening to the physios and medical staff. But hopefully 2 weeks' time should be all right.
So if you do get picked for game one, would you ideally like to play an NRL game before game one?
Yeah, for sure. I think, to be honest, I probably need to get back on the park to give myself a chance to be selected in the Origin. But it's sort of in the back of the mind, mate, just trying to get back to play some footy. And
It's the Broncos game, you aim to get back for that one?
Aiming at the Broncos game at the moment. So it's a bit tough that it's a Thursday night, so sort of don't get that extra couple of days. But I'll definitely be pushing for it.
It's brilliant work that they're doing up there, Robbo. It's great to see the Storm getting out there and engaging in what they believe is the second home now.
Yeah, and we've always had a good showing and a good membership up the Eastern Seaboard. It was nice for the guys to get out there and show another side to them, not just on the footy field, and get to know the community and give back and put a smile on some faces.
Let's look ahead to this game this week against the Raiders. How we line up is going to be fascinating, given Ryan Pappenhausen, obviously the injury. So Nico Hines will just slot back in so nicely to that fullback role. Brandon Smith back, which is timely, given that Tyson Smoothy, who did a really good job in stepping in as we were 2 hookers down, he goes out with a PCL. Riley Jacks is out with concussion, so Chris Lewis will get the start in the halves. So again, being forced to make changes, but as we've seen with this team all year, Robbo, they know how to respond and they know how to play the role that they get picked to play. Yeah,
and Louis playing 5'8" as well, and he's another player. He's a big guy, he can play some positions. School teacher, very smart, so I'm sure he's going to know what his role is in playing 5'8". The other player I'm looking forward to seeing play is Aaron Penne. He had a shot last year, but he's a big outside running back rower, and I reckon he's got a big future, Aaron. He's got a... I think he's going to have a wonderful game.
So the Raiders snapped a 5-game losing streak last week, just getting over the line against Canterbury. So they're probably not in the team that the form that they'd like to be. Just sitting inside the top 8 at the moment, and they've been forced to make some changes as well. A heap of suspensions coming out of their last game, and no Tarpany, Rapana, Soliola. They're about a week away. No Crockett either. So they've had to ring some changes as well, with Sam Williams coming in at number 6. Hudson Young comes off the interchange into the lock. Ryan Sutton is back from that elbow injury, but their injuries are doing them no favours, but suspensions neither.
Yeah, it's one of those teams and one of those games, no matter where they're both positioned on the field, they come with a lot of effort, and that probably comes down to both coaches got a little bit of competitive streak in them, really good close friends. So that's one of those games. No matter where they are, we know there's going to be a game full of effort, and I'm hoping the team that we put out there, can win the game.
So you mentioned that there's always a great rivalry. Raiders seem to really get themselves up to play against the Storm. Ricky Stewart, Craig Bellamy, there's always lovely little byplay that goes on there. So, Robbo, how do you see this game unfolding, given where the Raiders are at and just how well the Storm are going at the moment, even though undermanned?
Yeah, well, obviously it's their home game and it's going to really test their squad as well with the depth, with the players they're missing from suspension and injury. And we're also being tested as well. I think what you're alluding to there, I think the winning coach takes the beers into the opposition coach and they get around each other, but I'm sure Craig isn't paying for that beer either. I know he's pretty tight in the pocket, so I'm sure he's hoping to go into Ricky Stewart's with a couple of beers for him.
So let's have a look at and dive into our Red Z preview for this game. So both teams, a lot of changes we've just walked through. The head-to-head, as we see here, 14 to 33. 47 times they've played. 80% of the Storm are going at wins this season, have just bounced back after those couple of losses in really good nick. It's the points scored that really stands out to me, Robbo. Storm number one in the competition for points scored. They've scored 28 more points than any other team, 9 more tries. They are just lethal at the moment.
Yeah, and Craig will be obviously happy with that, but he's probably more happy about the defensive efforts. All the great walls have been built on how well ingrained and anchored down their defensive systems are. And I think you could see across the whole heap of sports, the success comes off the back of defence. They back themselves to score the points that we've been able to.
Yeah, and you can see there in the points conceded that it's been a bit of a thorn in the side for the Raiders. They've been conceding a lot, but whereas the Storm, just 126 points. So you mentioned the pride in the defence, and the team really buys into that. So you must look at the Melbourne Storm when you come up against them and go, well, geez, how are we going to score and how are we going to stop them? It's a wonderful position to be in.
Yeah, and Craig, when Craig looks at picking a new player into the team, he'll always look at his defensive style and defensive efforts, I suppose, and that's something that he's been able to do for a long period of time. And so when someone comes into the position and into the team get their opportunity, they know it's not only about scoring points, it's making sure we can stop them.
So we mentioned that they've come off the back of that 5-game losing streak. It's been a tough year for them. They're still inside the 8, though. If you were to be advising the Raiders to say, here's one area that you could home in on against the Storm, where would you be telling them to put their focus into?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Every team's got their, I suppose, areas they're not as strong as than other teams. I can't answer that because I'll be giving a secret away. So I don't want to answer. I don't want to answer it.
Well, you'll get no help here, Canberra Raiders, and nor should you, because the show's called Inside Storm, not Inside the Raiders. So that's all for tonight's Inside Storm, proudly presented by Red Z. Red Z is the Australian lender that specialises in providing loans for the self-employed. A big thank you to Peter Robinson for filling in and joining us again. Robert, it's always great to have you, my friend. It's a pleasure having you on the show, and to all the members and fans who tune in every week, we can't thank you enough, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Go Storm.